Hey everyone. So, I know I'm not the only one that's done this, but I did make a video. I started it. I actually videoed the beginning of this and then I deleted it. Sure did. Because I made it a couple days ago because what I'm doing in this video is what would you say? Making over some papers. So I had tea-dyed papers, blue tea papers, and some of the ones that we had done for the junk mail January challenge. And I decided for the bright journals, I wanted more colors. I wanted, some different things to be able to use because, some of the tea dye ones, I didn't want to use any tea dye, but I don't think I have any more of this kind of paper. Certain papers I didn't have, but I had a whole bunch that were tea dyed. So I wanted to add color to them. And, it's cold outside. I just wanted to do something to alter them inside. So I've done a lot of experimenting, and that's basically what I'm going to show you. I did do some of it on camera that, like I said, I deleted. So I'm hoping that I can walk you through what I've done and show you the differences. I just took distress inks like this, the oxide sprays on this bunch here. And what I did was I did two separate pans. I did a pan where I sprayed them with water, and then I sprayed on the oxide to see if it would give some better pooling. The water would help it to pool and have better marks in the creases. And then I done a pan where I just sprayed it with oxide inks. And to be honest with you, there really wasn't a lot of difference. I know that this was one I used water on because you can see how it started to run the ink that was already on the paper. And I guess, it makes a little bit of difference, but really it didn't make a whole lot. I do love the edging, how that set on the edges. I love that. I think it's beautiful. But as far as making a big difference in whether your paper was wet, meaning with just water, not tea dye or coffee, just water, it really didn't make that much difference. Um, I did get a little bit of this kind of thing, but what I did on some of them, I sprayed some, like I said, I did some that weren't sprayed, and then I took a pan and dipped the whole page in water. I didn't let it soak like you would, sorry, look at that awful drawing, like you would on when I tea dye, but I did fully cover it with water. And that did give me some pulling, not a lot. I think that if you were going to want it to look really good into the creases, you would want to completely submerge it in the water and leave it for a bit. And that brings me to my next thing. This pan was the pan that I showed how I'd done my process. Again, deleted it. But here's some that I wrinkled up. And these I did wet and spray, and really not much difference. Other than I'm happy with them. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love how they turned out. They're beautiful. But see, there is a little bit of that dark pooling in the creases, and that's really what I wanted. Um, but I want to show you, I know everybody knows how to wrinkle up paper, but once it's dry, it can be a little bit difficult to get undone and without tearing your paper. So as you can see, I had good luck with this. I didn't tear this one. And this is actually pretty thin paper. It's dot paper that I got from Dollar Tree. And then here are some that's been sprayed without water. Thought they were beautiful. And I'm just going to show some of them. I mean, they're not, I just love them. This was a tea-dyed paper, of course, that I didn't have anything on the other side, so I just sprayed it. And a lot of these pages with the that were from a room bound, I sprayed a lot of those because when I tea-dyed them through the summer, I got lazy and I didn't dip them individually. Although I have great edges, they had really, it looked like you'd ink the edges. There wasn't much on the page. So I just sprayed them. And I was thinking, you know, people are going to say, why would you want to dye papers that you've already dyed? Ooh, look, and this one I laid on the stencil, this stencil, and it has some pretty good markings. Well, maybe you don't have more paper and don't want to go get more paper. Or maybe you want to use what you have without, you know, like me, I have a ton of tea-dyed paper. And I don't know. I love to experiment. I love to see what will happen if. And that's why I did it. I have blue tea still on this one. So those are some more. But I wanted to tell you that if you choose to crumple them versus just laying them flat, the best way to do it is after they're wet and you take them out of whatever your liquid is, okay, and you lay them out, spray them with your dye, whether it be the oxide sprays or the watercolor, whatever you use as your second color, spray it on, and then don't just wad it real heavy. I mean, don't just be like going to town and put it in a tight little ball, because the chances of getting it undone without tearing it are pretty much slim to none. So how I do it is after I've sprayed it, I just kind of take the corners, all four corners, and just squeeze down lightly to hold it into a ball. I, and it will turn out really well. These, like I said, I didn't wet these as much as I would have done during the summer. I had some really beautiful ones in the summer, and they had a lot of pooling in the crevices, but I didn't take the time to do that this time. But that's just you know, you wrinkle it however you want to. But here's some more that I done, and I done these with watercolor. And how I done these was I wet them. I just sprayed water on them. I didn't completely submerge them. I just sprayed water on them. And then I took, and they're a little bit damp still, I think. Yeah, it is. Boy, isn't that pretty, though? Yeah, they're a little bit damp. And then I took a dropper. I pulled one out, and now I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Like this. And I just squeezed a little tiny bit of probably like this much, if that much, of this watercolor, because it's very intense. And then I filled the rest of it up with water and just squirted it. Just lightly squirted it. Like this would do a whole bunch of pages, because I didn't put very much because it is so strong. It's so pigmented. But these are some that I done, and I thought I could show you those. And some of them, you can tell, I would squirt on the dye, and then I would squirt it with water to try to get it to move around. And I did like that. Isn't that beautiful, though? I mean, it just looks like just water. Oh, I just love it. I love the colors. Here's one. Oh, goodness. That's so pretty. I hope you like these. You know, not all the people have all of the different things. I don't. There's a lot of things I would love to have. This one's still pretty wet. The funny thing is, I got up this morning to do these, so I put them in real early, thinking, ooh, here's another way we can try to, you know, change the color. So they're not really all that dry yet, but some of them are. So I hope you don't mind that I'm actually not going to color any on screen. I hope that I've explained it well enough that you know how I done it. I just tried all kinds of different processes. And I will say, probably my favorite is this way. And I did not submerge these. I just sprayed them with water. Then I dropped on the watercolor. And you wouldn't have to have liquid watercolor. I mean, you could put watercolor down on a palette and suck it up in a dropper, any kind of dropper, and then drop it on the page. And then I just took my corners like I showed you and put it in a pan to dry. But I think the watercolor definitely is my favorite, because even the distress oxides that I watered down, because see, I love this. That's what I was going for. Even the distress oxides that I watered down still have that kind of powdery look to them, which is okay, because like I say, I wanted a lot, you know, I was looking for different kinds of papers to use in the colored journals, and I think that this one's really wet, so I'm not going to try to smush it down very much. And then I have a couple more that, I mean, are really, really wet, so I don't really want to open them, because I don't want to tear them. This one's kind of pretty. Oh, I just really think they're pretty. And like I said, these were actually tea-dyed papers, but they turned out really white because I was lazy and just put piles of them in there together, which you can do that. And a lot of times it will soak through and you'll get very pretty colors. But I didn't, look at that. I didn't let mine set very long. So the middle papers, like this one, it's real tea-dyed on this side, but this side is white. So those were the kind of papers that I was adding color to just for fun. This one's really pretty too. And I'll leave those to dry, the rest of those to dry. But I think these are going to make great additions to our color journals. I think, you know, my end result, to summarize it, would be that on the distress inks, you definitely need to wet them first, even if it's just a little bit, because I think you won't get as much powdery look if you wet it. If you don't care about the powdery look, just scrump them up. I mean, spray them and scrunch them up, and you're good to go. I did some that I didn't scrunch up, like these, but they have a really powdery look. Now, these I didn't spray with water at all. I still like it. It still gives a tea, or like a tea-dyed shirt kind of vibe, or a watercolor kind of vibe, but it's like this. You can really see it's powdery. Yeah, and it comes off, so you would want to wipe that down with something, see? Definitely. Now, on some of the ones that I wet, like this, it doesn't come off. Well, that's a lie. Look, it does too come off. So I guess on the distress oxides, the best way to go, if you don't want all of this mess that's on my hands, definitely wet them. And then if you don't want to wet them, you can always take a dry rag, even a damp rag. Now, damp rag, if we do that, let's just do that. I look for it to try to kind of smear our colors together some more, which, you know, who cares? That'll give us another good look. Let's do that. I'm going to grab a baby wipe and let's do that. Let's see what happens. Before I do that, I was wanting to look. I thought some of these in the stack I had done before, yeah, like these distress oxides, This is Distress Oxide, and I wet this. And it's still, I think this one was wet. It's still coming off. Maybe that's how I can tell which ones here's my wet one. Now I'm not sure what's coming off the paper and what was already on my hand. Okay, so let me dry my hands. Okay, so on the ones that I wet, and you guys probably already know this, I don't know. I know people have lots of experience with this Distress Oxide more than me. Yeah, the ones that I wet, the powder doesn't come off. It needs the wet. Otherwise, you're going to end up with powder. But we're going to see what happens when we wet it. Just to wipe that off. It's very pretty looking when you wipe it down. More of a blended look. Not a whole lot wipes off, but I mean some does. So, yeah, just wipe it down with a wet wipe. Not much of this is coming off, just the blue. So I'm sorry there wasn't much of a tutorial for this video. It was just kind of me experimenting with adding colors to papers that I had already dyed at some point in time. And I don't know why anybody would want to do that. I wanted to do it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I didn't want to dye more papers. I only have so much room, and I have 2 full bins of dyed papers, and so I thought, why don't I just use some of those for these upcoming journals? And so that's why I went ahead and altered them, if you will. But I have to say, I'm happy about all of it. If my favorite pick would be to use the watercolors. I do like the Distress Oxides if you wet them. I like that color better than the powdery looks. Which, again, I know everybody already knows about the powdery. I don't know why I feel like I need to tell you. But also, if you have papers like that were already so watercolored, or even with the Distress inks, just know whenever you wet it again, it's going to look so pretty because it's going to start bleeding and giving those wonderful looks. I just think it's neat, the things we can do with paper. These will be fun to back things with, and this was some that was junk mail, so more than likely I'm going to tear it in small pieces, probably, or back it. Like this piece doesn't have anything on it. I'd use that as a backing piece of paper. But I hope you like these. I hope that I haven't wasted your time by showing you all this. A lot of times I do experiments that nobody else in the whole world probably cares about. But I hope you like these. I hope you'll get some of your papers out, and maybe you'll alter some up for our colored. Look at all this goodness, though. Seriously. Isn't that cool? I love that. Ooh, and I wanted to tell you that one of my friends, and I know that I didn't write it down because I didn't know I was going to mention it this time, had mentioned using Kool-Aid. So, and you don't, of course, you don't add sugar or anything to it. It's unsweetened. But they said it gives nice, vibrant colors to use Kool-Aid packets in water. And then also, if you don't like the smell of coffee, I had a friend to tell me they did try Rit brown color and brown dye, just the regular brown. I guess the regular. When I looked on Amazon for brown Rit dye, oh my goodness, it was like trying to order toast. It came in, I don't even know how many. You had chocolate, milk chocolate, dark brown, regular brown. I'm like, okay, seriously, I just need brown. You know, you go to order toast. You want white, sourdough, wheat? Okay, just bread. Anyway, I thought I would throw that out there that if you don't like the smell of coffee, there was a friend that said she recommended using the Rit brown dye, that she actually had tried it and it really did leave beautiful markings just like the coffee. And then also something like this, if you have unsweetened Kool-Aid, you can use it to color papers. So I thought those were some great tips, not my own. I'm just sharing them with you. I thought they were great. And I thank you guys so much for sharing all the things that you do, because seriously, that's what makes this so much more fun in junk journaling, that we can all help each other and give great ideas. And again, I apologize that this really wasn't a tutorial. I hope that maybe there was something in it somewhere that you thought, didn't know that. Or, yeah, that really does help. But if nothing else, look, isn't that cool? You gotta admit, that's really pretty. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. I hope that you'll stay with me through the bad ones, like this probably a bad one. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.